Good evening, everyone, and this meeting. Before I start, this is the first webcast meeting of the Health and Wellbeing Scrutiny Committee. May I remind everyone present that this meeting will be broadcast live via YouTube, and the recording will be archived for future review. Officers ensure that when they speak, they switch off their microphones on, and when they have finished speaking, switch their microphones off. This is extremely important for the live stream to ensure that the cameras will be focused on the individual who is speaking. So everyone's has a picture of my face now. That's all very nice. As we've got a new officer Charlie here, welcome Charlie. I'll just like to go left clockwise to introduce everyone who's at this meeting today. So if you'd like to start, Dan.
Thank you, Chair. I'm Daniel Corkett, the Democratic Services Officer.
Michael Hovers, Communities, Open Spaces and Facilities Manager.
Thank you. Charlie Birtles, Audience and Participation Development Officer at the Brew House.
Councillor Laura Beach, representing Staffordshire. Kim Smith, representing the Windsor Ward.
Councillor Monica Holton, representing Burton and Eton.
And I'm Councillor Hadley, representing Burton Eton with Monica and Chair of the Health and Wellbeing Scrutiny Committee. So that was a nice little warm-up for us, so we can turn off and on our microphones. A warm welcome to everyone on YouTube. So this is the Scrutiny Health and Wellbeing Committee. I'll now receive any apologies for absence.
Thank you, Chair. We've received apologies from Councillor Warman and Councillor Atkins.
Thank you, Dan. Item number 2, declarations of interest, if any, at all.
Chair, for the record, I'm a governor at UHDB.
Thank you, Councillor Peters. It's duly noted. Item number 3, to consider any urgent business brought forward to the meeting under Rule 12. Do we have any urgent business? No urgent business, Dan. Thank you. So, going to item number 4, questions from the public. We have not received any questions from the public. So going to item number 5, questions from members of the committee before the we have not received any questions from the members of the committee. So we'll go to item number 6, the public minutes of the previous meeting on the 15th of July 2024. I propose the approval of the public minutes from the previous meeting. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Peters. Okay, so we'll go straight to the vote. All those in favour of approving the previous minutes, raise your hand. So 3 of us. Any against? Any abstentions? That is carried. Thank you very much. Going to item number 7, the Quarter 1 Performance Report 24-25 Corporate Plan. I now invite the Communities and Open Spaces Manager to provide an update on Quarter 1 performance.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'll just go through the headline figures. At the moment, with the Quarter 1 Performance Report, there are 102 targets, of which 75 of those are green, 1 are amber, red, and 23 are reporting as not yet due. Of the 3 targets that are off target, ILD 03, POH 05, and ILD 10 are the 3 that are off target. Of those 79, 94% are currently green.
Thank you, Mike. Has the committee got any questions for the report? And no one's signifying they have any questions, so thank you very much for that, Mike. Moving on to item 8, exercise provision for young people scrutiny review. The final report for scrutiny scrutiny review has been circulated in enclosure 3. I propose the approval of the recommendations as detailed in 4.1 and 4.2. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Monica Holton. Does anyone wish to comment on the review, or shall we go straight to a vote? Okay, no one's signaling that they want to comment, so we'll now go to the vote. All those in favour of approving the report, raise your hand. And there's 4 there. Any against? Any abstentions? And that is carried as well. Thank you very much. So we go into item number 9, the Scrutiny Review Programme Update. And I invite the Communities and Open Spaces Manager to provide an update.
Yes, thank you, Chair. You've just heard where we are with the exercise provision for young people and the review there. The other current review that we have in progress is around suicide rates in East Staffordshire. I'm glad to say that we've got a report that's ready. Just wasn't ready in time for this meeting. Councillor Holt and Councillor Smith have approved the recommendations. We'd like to bring that forward to potentially another meeting, Chair, so we can get that report signed off ready in the later in this year, but for the new year, for the different approval processes. We have done various bits. I don't want to go too far into the report itself because of what that will reveal, but I think in terms of recommendations, we are suggesting that we invite MPFT along to this meeting for this full committee to hear the work that they're delivering within East Staffordshire. I think it's probably fair to say when we look at the suicide rates in East Staffordshire, there's quite a wide mental health landscape that we've included in as well, and hopefully we've got some good suggestions that we can bring forward to the committee.
Thank you, Mike. Are there any questions regarding that? No one signifying. So, yeah, as Mike said, there's potential further dates to just sign, dot the I's, cross the T's with the suicide rate scrutiny review. So we've got 2 dates available, Tuesday the 12th of November at 6:30 or Wednesday the 13th of November, 2024 at 6:30. Can we just signify availability with councillors in the room? Sorry, Councillor Beach. 12th of November or 13th of November, 24. So, you're saying, Councillor Peters, it's okay or not okay for the 12th of November?
12th of November is good for me.
Okay, so it's good for Councillor Peters. I'm available too on it. Anyone else? Kim? Councillor Smith? Yeah. Okay, great. And Councillor Beach, you're not?
Really struggle with the Tuesday. I apologise.
Okay, so we've got... given that then, though, it looks like with the 4 of us, we've at least got a guaranteed quorum. So I believe we'll just... I mean, it's just...
I'll do my best.
Yeah.
I will do my best.
Thank you, Councillor Beach. Yeah, we'll go ahead with that 12th of November meeting then, just so we can dot the I's, cross the T's on that suicide rates review, and then move on to some more work for the committee to do. So you got it written down, yeah? Okay. Okay, so right, so the next meeting. So basically, we also in this item need to think about what different scrutiny committees we're going on to, and what things we want to scrutinise. Now, there was a few, and we talked about in a previous meeting about the types of things we want to look at. So I think from this meeting we need 2 topics to scrutinise, and then from those things we look at, then looking at for example, there's been some work done about security. To then bring in people who are, looking at officers and councillor security, just to reassure members, and some of these things which, for example, the River Trent, that we did talk about as a certain scrutiny item that we could just have someone talk about in just the one meeting, which we could try and get for the 12th of November, so we can kind of, well, not pad out the meeting, but at least get some good business done on the 12th of November. Has anyone got any comments about what scrutiny committee meeting? Well, before that happens, I'll just bring in Mike.
Yeah, Chair, if I may. Within our work programme, previously I identified 4 topics to review. Now that may well have changed since then. So the 4 that you identified were active subscribing, malnutrition rates amongst children, officer and member safety, and use of the River Trent. Now bearing in mind that was 12 months ago when we first agreed that work programme. There may be other subjects that you want to scrutinise in between, since then, since we've done those original 4. So it is a question of which topics do you want to begin to scrutinise. That's why Charlie's on board now, to help with the scoping paper, the research, and organising meeting with the different stakeholders. And are there any single issues, when I say single issues, where we can invite people along to an evening here and a presentation. So one example may well be that officer and member safety, because a lot has happened around the Protect agenda and Martin's Law, and that essentially coming into statute in any time soon, really. So it's really up to members to debate about what you want to do next as scrutiny reviews, either a subject review or either a singular review where we invite somebody in for the evening, and we can organise that for you.
Thank you, Mike. Councillor Peters.
I think member safety is of paramount importance. We have a guy on the door there, but I'm sure he's, and I say this with the greatest respect, he may be distracted by something occasionally, and someone may get in. You just don't know. It's happened before. Strangers have walked through that door back in the day, and it's quite off-putting. So I'd like to see something about that. And another topic that, Chair, whether you think is appropriate, is knife crime. We've had incidents of knife crime historically in Burton. I know the Police and Crime Commissioner has strong views on it and takes it very seriously. All police vehicles now carry bleed kits in the event of turning up at various sites where someone's been stabbed. So to get an airing on that, I think, would be useful. I know the divisional commander in Burton would be only too pleased to come and talk to this committee about it. But all I suggest to you, Chair, with the greatest respect, is that you advise us all to get some questions together, some meaningful questions from lifetime experiences and what you know, because we want to get the most out of a visit from the police, I think. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Peters, and yes, certainly that's a very interesting topic. That is, like Mike said, is a single issue topic that can be real benefit this committee. Councillor Holton.
Thanks, Chair. Yes, just going on what Councillor has said there, the knife crime within East Staffordshire Borough Council. Another person we could bring in is Danny Monidisser from Streetwise. I know he's been working with the police and Crime Commissioner, both the former MP and current MP of Burton. So he, as far as I'm aware, is the only CIC in East Staffordshire who's going into schools, and in the last 2 years has been able to reach over 4,000 young people around this topic. So yeah, if we are doing that as a scoping, then I'm sure we'll be able to get him in as well.
Thank you, Councillor. Oh, yeah, thank you, Councillor Holton. Mike.
Yeah, I think Councillor Peters' suggestion of reviewing knife crime is actually it's pertinent, and the issues associated with perhaps young people and people carrying knives. I don't believe it's a single evening issue. I think we need to look at doing a scoping paper and look for members to be part of a subgroup that Charlie and I can convene and bring together to look at that and start progressing that and share that amongst groups. So I suggest we need some volunteers for a small subgroup, Chair.
Thank you, Mike. So Mike suggested the knife crime is not just a day, just the one meeting, but a scoping paper in itself, and also, excuse me, So, and the other items which, excuse me, the 4 other items, 1 second, Councillor Beach, I think the impact of social prescribing might be quite an interesting one to do. To just see, like, the proactive, being proactive rather than reactive to, mental health issues and, loneliness and everything like that. Councillor Beach.
Sorry, Chair, just on the, like a single issue, as in like a topic talk that we could then expand on later is, as the general gist. I don't know if anybody else was at the emergency planning member briefing that they did. The chap came from I think he was a former police officer and worked with the teams, the fire police, etc. And they were talking about when the river burst its banks. Obviously, in terms of the health and wellbeing aspect, we open the doors, and there's various organisations and whatnot that help out in terms of housing people temporarily. I wonder whether that could be, if we could find various people from those organisations, whether that could be a single evening. I don't know if we've got enough time to pull that together, but a single evening talk about which organisations are actually there, contact information, things like that, signposting more so than doing a scrutiny review, but giving us obviously with it being flood season, signposting for in the event of.
Mike.
Yeah, I think that's a good suggestion, Councillor Beach. It could actually be a catalyst for a review, so I wonder whether we should invite the Civil Contingency Unit in first of all, listen to what they've got to say, and then see if we do another kind of a scoping paper further for that.
Thank you, Mike. Any other comments from councillors? Any other ideas for scrutiny? Councillor Holden.
Sorry, the one that really keeps coming up, and for some, all of us really have worked in the community for quite some time, is a real lack of information around provision for elderly residents, really struggling to access consistent and regular support for the elderly in both Burton and Eton. So whether that's a single or a scoping paper, I'll let committee decide. Really wanting Age UK, adult social care, social services to be invited in to talk about where we can get assistance for our elderly within our constituencies, please.
Thank you, Councillor Holton. Anyone wish to comment? Councillor Beach.
Sorry, I've just had a thought on the back of a thought. A few years ago, a group came in. I say a group. A chap came in from a group that was doing. They were doing heating aid, winter heating aid support. That was actually really interesting and really valuable. And obviously, we've had a few new committee members in the meantime, and obviously being the season, and in line with obviously what's going on in sort of central government in terms of the fuel payments, whether that would be a valuable insight for this time of year and would be a single topic that we could discuss in an evening.
That sounds like the cold and pertinent, and timing is good, so I wonder whether we should try and get them along to the November meeting that we're proposing, Chair.
Thank you, Mike. What I'm suggesting, I'll bring you in a sec, Dan, is that for the elderly residents and the River Trent Health and Wellbeing, they would come under just the one specific person to come in on that November meeting. And then I suppose it's like the knife crime scoping paper and then one other scoping paper. So I don't know if what committee thinks about that. I suppose we would want to have 2 scoping papers in this meeting. Would that be correct?
Yeah, Chair, I think what we often say is that we can run 2 reviews in parallel, so where we create the scoping paper and conduct the review and talk to different partners and stakeholders, we can do 2 at the same time. Knife crime being one, and then probably one of the subjects that you've talked about this evening. elderly residents and potential provisions for people of an older age may well require more of a scoping paper because it's quite a complicated landscape. There's different organisations that are involved in there. Councillor Holton referenced Age UK, but we probably want to talk to the County Council about the services that they provide for elderly people as well. So I just wonder whether that's a topic that we could look into and start scoping out with a subgroup.
Thank you, Mike. So it looks like we got the of knife crime and look into elderly care, support for the elderly, and look for a scope and paper with those two things. Is anyone is that everyone happy with that for the two scope and paper items? Everyone agreed? Yeah. So I suppose we need to vote on it. So I propose we take the scope and papers of knife crime and the support for the elderly. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Smith. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Any against? And any abstentions? 2 abstentions. Okay. Oh, it was. Sorry, I may have not emphasised that it was the both of those. So you'd vote for one of them and not the other.
Apologies. In terms of relevance and timing, I'd probably be looking into the elderly care support parallel with something like the flooding issues or something pertinent to the kind of current, and perhaps leave the knife crime one till next time, because they, to me, both sound like very big reviews, hugely broad topics in terms of context, application, potential recommendations. My personal preference would be to take a bigger topic and put it parallel with a smaller topic, I don't know, the elderly care and heating, I don't know, the flooding with something smaller, so that they're not big topics together.
Thank you, Councillor Beach. Given that, I wish to go to the vote for the single topics then, just so we have a bit of clarity of who's voted for what. So, Councillor Peters.
Mike, through you, Chair, the County Council are responsible for looking after old people, I think. Yes. In the bigger scene. So they take the lead on it and set, in inverted commas, policy. So I don't know where we could fit our scrutiny into what county question there. I would need a steer. Although I am a county councillor, I wouldn't like to comment at this moment. So maybe it's something Mike could think about and give you a steer. I don't know. Just a point of information.
Yeah, Mike, would you like to respond?
Yeah, I think we could probably look at a review that the landscape of the review didn't step onto the toes of the county council, recognising that we've got a 2-tier health scrutiny system where anything across the county is responsible of the county council. I think we could tailor the review to look at how services are delivered in East Staffordshire, and look at how that extends not just within the public sector but the third sector as well. What's the footprint within East Staffordshire of our third sector partners and how they're delivering. So I do think there's probably capacity for a look at a wider review in terms of that elderly person's provision and what the third sector provided alongside the public sector, so we're not impinging upon the agreement that we have with the County Council for scrutiny.
Thank you, Mike. Any other comments before we'll go to the vote on these single issues? Okay. Okay, so I'd like to go for a vote on scoping of knife crime. I'll propose that. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Peters. All those in favour, can you please raise your hand? Thank you. Any against? Any abstentions? And 1 abstention, and that is carried. And then going for the elderly residents, support for the elderly, scope and paper, I'd like to propose that as well. Can I get a seconder, please? Councillor Holton. All those in favour of that, please. Any against? Any abstentions? And that's carried as well. Thank you very much. Okay, and that's carried. So that goes on to, well, that gets rid of that lovely, nice, long item. Sorry,
Not quite, Chair, I'm afraid. Just need members to confirm, we normally have, as part of a subgroup for this, 4 members, a cross-party subgroup. So I just need to confirm who's going to be on what subgroup for both the elderly residents provision and night crime. And we've talked about the single evening events, which we've covered as member safety, emergency planning and beat the cold. I would suggest emergency planning and beat the cold we may want to both have in November, given the time of the year for beat the cold and the likely rain that we're going to get over the winter if it's anything like last year. And the other question that I did have, Chair, for the committee, the 4 topics that we originally earmarked in May 2023, we've talked about officer and member safety, but you still have impact of social prescribing, malnutrition rates amongst children, and also use of the River Trent. Do you still want to keep them on reserve in the work programme as we move through?
Councillor Beach, before I come in.
Can I just say absolutely for social prescribing, please, if that is of the committee's preference.
Thank you. Yeah. I wouldn't mind that as a scoping paper myself. Would you think it's feasible for to have like the one person come in and talk about social prescribing on for the future of doing a scoping paper in the future?
I think between the officers here, we could certainly look at who we may well invite to come and have a talk to you of an evening for social prescribing. Again, there's quite a lot out there for people, and it will help us, the committee, to get an understanding, a basic understanding, and then we can perhaps move the review forward. So I think we could probably look at that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's the way forward to get of how it's applied, and then we can, off the back of that education, we can have a look at scoping paper in the future. Okay, so that's the single day agendas of beat the cold and emergency planning. That's all good. Okay, so can I have volunteers who wants to be on the scoping of knife crime? Hands up, who wants to be on that? So it's Councillor Peters and Councillor Smith. I'll also be on that if that's okay. So that's 3 for the knife crime. And can I have volunteers for the support the elderly? Councillor Beach, Councillor Smith and Councillor Holton. I suppose I think Dan or Mike, I believe it's okay. A member wants to be on both subgroups. Given also there's a vacancy as well here, it's probably necessary.
Just need to identify a lead member for it, so the chair of the subcommittee as well.
So can I have a lead member for the knife crime scoping paper? I think everyone's looking at Councillor Peters, but, but are you okay with that, Councillor Peters?
I don't want to be the lead member. I'm more than happy to be part of the committee.
Okay then, I'll be the lead member of that then. Nearly palmed it off to you. Okay, the scoping paper for the support the elderly. Can I volunteer? Councillor Holton. Let's be professional. It's leave for that. Excellent. Is that everything? Thank you. Okay, so that was a massive agenda item 9. Thank you everyone for your contributions. Councillor Holton.
Just as you thought we were finishing, but I really want to bring to committee's attention really, and we haven't got any more scope for adding anything else, but perhaps for another year, although it is very, very important, is could we possibly have a one-off meeting or somebody to come in to talk about the impacts and effects of damp, condensation and mould within our housing. When I say our, I don't necessarily mean East Staffordshire Borough Council stock or indeed Trent and Dove, but just in general, we are seeing a growing number of children struggling with respiratory issues, problems as a result of growing up, living and residing in damp conditions within our borough, which is quite scary. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Holton. I think that would certainly be feasible, and it'd be very interesting to get someone, also given the time of year. We are looking like a quite swell. I mean, we had the pre-meeting, didn't we, and said we needed kind of put some other items on the agenda for that 12th of November. Now it's looking quite swollen now. So it's good. It's a good thing. It's a good problem to have. But I'd like to see if officers agree that could it be too many things going on at that meeting now?
Chair, I think what we've proposed so far is emergency planning and beat the cold for that meeting in November, and signing off the suicide rate report. That seems to be a quite nice balanced agenda. So if we're looking at, say, 20 to 30 minutes for those two items, emergency planning and beat the cold, and the same again for the report, if there are any questions around the report we've got. So I think that seems pretty fair for the time you've got allocated. And then to speak to Councillor Holton's point around damp and mould, we should perhaps have somebody in, either from our own housing teams and or Trent and Dove, to get their view on that. I think it's, forgive my pronunciation, AWAB's laws coming in soon for housing providers, registered social landlords. May well be worth having them in just to talk around what they're intending to do around damp, mould and condensation.
Thank you, Mike. Councillor Beach.
I'm sorry, I don't disagree. It's absolutely a health and wellbeing issue, housing conditions. My concern is, does it overlap a little bit with the licensing committee and the licensing that we have in place? If we were looking, we're basically looking at our own governance of private landlords already. Is that something that perhaps the chairs, yourself and the chair of licensing, could discuss, where the licensing committee should or could be looking at that as part of their reviews into that programme? I don't disagree, it's absolutely a health and wellbeing issue, but what I don't want to do is tread on licensing's toes or create recommendations that we're technically putting to licensing, not putting to cabinet.
Thank you, Councillor Beach. Mike, what do you think?
I certainly think it's worth you talking with the scrutiny chair, so we make sure we are not overlapping there as well, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Holton.
Yeah, I'm to take consideration to that, but just to mention then that not every private accommodation in the borough is under the licensing department, and there are a few falling through the net. So we have the licensing for some areas within the borough, but it's not all of them, and we're aware that many private landlords don't fall under that, under those conditions at the moment, and as such they're falling through the net. So I'd still like to see us at least know the effects, the long-term health effects, and to see if we could gather some data on how long, because we're seeing children now that have lived in those conditions 2 or 3 years ago, perhaps at an early age, that are now at 6 and 7, 8, who are feeling the effects of that, having lived in those conditions earlier. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, councillors. So it's my understanding that, I mean, of course, we'll have to, like Councillor Beach said, we'll have to liaise with the licence committee, not to tread on their toes, but if we're looking at the health and well-being of the borough as a whole, Councillor Holton is correct to say that it's not the whole borough that the selective licensing scheme goes to, and it shouldn't be sort of biased towards our own stock or private stock. It should be just a more of a kind of a broader termed scoping paper, if you know. These problems will sort of figure themselves out in the detail. Are we there? And over, are we there? Over item 9? Item 9 is concluded. Thank you, councillors. So item number 10 then is the Staffordshire County Council Health and Care Overview and Scrutiny Committee update. Now both people, Councillor Legg and County Councillor Brett Atkins, are not here, so we'll defer that to the next meeting, the 12th of November. So the date of the next meeting, so we already have our meeting on the 13th of, did I say the 13th of November? Sorry, the 12th, Tuesday the 12th of November, for our special meeting, but the date of the next meeting was scheduled for Monday the 23rd of December, but I believe we've been having some issues trying to get that meeting and getting everyone here because of the Christmas. It's quite close to Christmas, 23rd of December. So I propose that we move to the following dates in the new year. The Monday the 27th of January, 2024, Wednesday the 29th of January 2025, this is now. 27th of January 2025. Happy New Year. I'll just amend this on my form here. All at 6:30 p.m. So there's 27th of January, 29th of January, or the 3rd of February 2025. Has anyone got a preference for that? Okay. So the days of the week are so the Monday the 27th of January, Wednesday the 29th of January, or Monday the 3rd of February. Is there anyone that has a preference for one of those? Personally, I'm okay for all of those, but anyone got any preferences? Monday's good for all? Okay. We'll go for the 27th of January. Everyone okay with that? So I'll propose then Monday the 27th of January 2025. Can I have a seconder of that, please? Councillor Beach. All those in favour, raise your hand. And that's unanimous. Thank you, councillors. We have now 3 items to consider in private, so I'll now move. That's in accordance with Section 100A, Part 4 of the Local Governance Act 1972. The press and the public will be excluded from the remainder of the meeting as it is likely, in view of the nature of the business to be transacted or the nature of that there would be disclosed exempt information in regards to Part 1 of Schedule 12A of the Act indicated in brackets before each item number on the agenda. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Smith. Now we'll go to the vote. All those in favour, raise your hands. And that's unanimous. So we'll just make the meeting private. Thank you very much for everyone on Zoom and YouTube. Sorry.